going on? I am the one, the only WOOKIE. Joined here by the usual cast of characters. We got Big Z.
Hey, hey.
Mr. Ewok Jr., JR.
Hello, Keyforge community.
And then there's Dan.
Yeah,
he's here. As normal. I missed it last week. I didn't get my normal Dan excitedness, so I'm pumped. Just a real quick, we're going to do this real quick, Dan, because I know there's a lot of news coming up right now. What is the official FFG OP news?
nothing.
All right. Anyway.
I did find the official Keyforge forum today, and the last post was in September.
There's an official Keyforge forum?
Yeah, that's where our response was for all of us. There is.
I'm sorry. Where do I find this?
FFG's page, and you click on community.
All right, let's. I'm gonna go check that out while you guys.
Bother.
Wait. I actually think I saw that early on, like when the game first came out. There was some posts, but yes, I have. Okay, I know what you're talking about now, Dan.
Yeah, we'll do some research and we'll get back to you all next week about that. Maybe there's something there that we should know. I don't know. Who knows? We'll
I'm sorry. What did you say? The last post was in when?
September 26th
of 2019.
2020.
Oh,
and
okay.
Before that was July. So
active.
Yeah, it's smoking.
I think I'm almost there because I'm into board games and card games. They're sorted in alphabetical order, and nope, not here. Okay, never mind. I'll keep looking.
Well, I think that we can lead into something else that is coming near the end of its run.
All right, so we're going to get into that. Guys, what do we want to go into? KFPL news, or did you guys want to do Glorious You next?
Well, I mean, Ewok just mentioned the end of this run. What are you talking about that?
Yeah, go ahead,
all right,
Ewok.
So we've all been playing dailies, or some of us have been playing dailies, but it looks like the dailies have run their course, and there is a sad death wail from them happening right now where we haven't been able to fire them every night. So it looks like now is the time to cut back on the number of daily Keyforge events, as apparently life is coming back to normal, although those of us in Wisconsin know normal life means 3,000 corona cases a day. So we're still not going anywhere. But the rest of you get to because, well, you're smarter than us.
You made good decisions, so good job.
So
no, I think that we're coming up to 200. So we are actually looking at next week, Tuesday, if we continue to fire. That would be 200 dailies, which is incredible to actually think back about. So thank you to everyone who's come out, to all who've gone ahead and participated. And, we still have our Chainbound Sunday and Thursday. So that's something that's going to continue.
yeah, so I will keep running the online Chainbounds Thursday and Sundays. They are both open now. They're not Mass Mutation only, so you can bring whatever you want. Hang some chains, get them 2 Amber Shards, 3 Amber Shards, whatever it is. But it's a good place to play fairly competitive decks in the official format.
And that is 8 o'clock Central, right?
Yes, 8 o'clock Central. 35-minute rounds, usually 3 or 4 rounds, so we're done by 10 tonight. If not a little earlier. So those are good. Come out and show those. And then we're talking about figuring out something to try to do regularly on Tuesdays. So keep listening for more news on that as we actually try to make decisions.
Yeah, good.
Which is super tough for us.
Yeah.
All right. Something else that wrapped up or is currently wrapping up is Coat 6. That was the bring the Keyforge online team event. I think that's what that stands for. It was AOA, Worlds Collide, and Mass Mutations decks that get paired against each other. There were 4 rounds, and then now they're currently in their Top Cut playoffs. My team got not. We didn't make Top Cut because we're 3-1.
Yeah, because I sucked. Let's just be honest. My AOA deck only managed to go 2-2. And
Way to go, Dan.
Yeah,
you're the reason we can't have nice things.
Yep.
Yeah, I went 3-1. I don't actually know what Nathan's final record was, but I guess it had to be 3-1. But But Coat 7 was announced, and it was fairly interesting. Who wants to go through the rundown of what that's going to look like? It doesn't start till November, but it's a brand new format. Anyone? I guess.
Well,
Dan?
I mean, I haven't actually directly read the rules, but my understanding is it's 5-deck survival, but each team of 3 players is going to have the same pile of 5 decks, right?
Yes.
So our team of 3, we're going to pick 5 decks, but each one of us has to put our survival order different.
Correct. That's how I had read the rules too. So deck survival, and then just order them in a different way. And the teams will actually go ahead and leave play as soon as one team member has lost. So if one team member loses with all 5 decks, boom, that team is out.
Yeah, so there is a scenario, because there's going to be 5 rounds before Top Cut. There is a scenario where a team could technically win all 5 matches, but be eliminated from Top Cut because one player could go 0-5, and that team is out, which is really interesting. There is like some kind of like chess maneuvering as far as the order of the decks you put them in, because the Top Cut is just going to be one deck for the entire Top Cut, but you have to have that deck remaining. So like if you put your best decks, if everybody put the very best deck out of the 5 in slot 1, if any of them lose a match, they obviously can't use that deck in the Top Cut. So there's a lot of maneuvering strategy involved in just that ordering of the deck. So that's gonna be fun. Dan and I are on a team with another member of Team SAS, Casey, and we're working on trying to choose our 5th deck.
So let me get this straight. Every person in the league is getting the same 5 decks?
No. Every person on a team is getting the same 5 decks from their pool.
Okay, so as a team, you're all choosing 5 decks. Got it.
And we talked a little bit about this before you came. I think that many of the teams that have formed do have an advantage that's here, especially with the competitive play piece. But at the same time, it is going to come down to your weakest player. So I like the idea of what they're trying. It's something different. It's survival. So it's difficult to keep coming up with new ideas, but I give them credit for trying.
I actually like the idea where you pick 5 decks and every team is playing with those same 5 decks.
I think it's unique. I'm going to reserve judgment until it's all said and done, but I think it's a great idea. It's something new and fresh. I'm looking forward to it a lot more than I was looking forward to Coat 6. I mean, Coat 6 was like, I've done the Coat before. I stopped doing them because I had trouble scheduling matches a lot, and they had redone how they did that. My only knock on Coat 6 is like I have no idea why it ended after 4 rounds, because like when you're 3-1 and you don't make Top Cut, but you only played 4 rounds and 2 people that are also 3-1 made Top Cut, that's really weird to me. I think one more round there would have been a less likelihood that those cuts or breakers would have decided who's Top Cut and who's not, but it doesn't matter. We are out.
But you're not out of everything.
We should have won all 4 games. That is what it is.
You're not out of everything. What's something you are in?
Something I am still in is the Glorious You. Premiered last weekend. I don't remember how many people was in that thing. It was a lot, right? Like 90?
I think it was like 92 or 96, something like that.
Yeah, it was a pretty large turnout. Sanctimonious did a really good job advertising it, setting it up. There was a slight glitch in round 1 where one of the settings was messed up, but after round 1, they did a really good job running it. And I went 8-0. Like, that's pretty solid. So I was happy with my performance, which put me in Top Cut. Unfortunately for me though, the Top Cut in Glorious You is stupid. Like you get put in this draft pool where you're banning decks, banning houses. Like I don't know. I know they put a lot of time and effort, and a lot of people enjoyed that. But I'm in the pool that was just weird, and I don't know if I liked it.
I think there was definitely advantage to the people who had done it a few times. Because Sanctimonious ran a bunch of those drafts, just like 8-player drafts, and half of them were draft out the houses, pick your deck, and then they didn't actually play any of the games. It was
Yeah,
just
like
the draft
I was
process was done again and again to make
I was
sure
in
it
a draft pod of 8 players. One had done it a couple times, and then 2 of them was Dave, and then
They've done
I
it like
think
1,000
and
times.
Jeff. Like Dave has not only done it a bunch, he actually made a bot that he could draft against. I was like, what? And then the other 5 people had never done it at all. I don't know. It was really, really strange. I think if that's like what I kind of put that whole thing where I put, what was the thing that Eric designed? Cube. It's like just different. It's a very different thing. Like I feel like you're actually playing fantasy football draft more than you're playing Keyforge, because I 100% believe the winner of the top cut has already been decided by what happened during that draft thing last Saturday.
Did Dave land on Caruso?
Yes, he got Caruso. Of course,
Yeah, of course he
Caruso.
did.
No one's going to ban Brobnar.
Yeah,
so it's really easy to get Caruso.
People can get forced into houses in the way it works, and by having very good decks with bad houses, which the bad houses are basically considered Mars.
Brobnar synced. That's it.
And then Saurian is like also often gets banned very quickly too.
Yes, because they are, it is a good house in a bunch of decks. There's a lot of people that don't have those decks or have very little Worlds.
Right, yeah, because it's basically, it locks you into Worlds Collide, and then if you get stuck with Saurian and you get stuck with any of the other houses, you can get stuck with Brobnar. And
yeah, if you get stuck with Saurian and Brobnar, you've probably already lost. Like, yeah, so that's real weird. Anyway, I really enjoyed the actual Swiss. It's one of the closest things that I've experienced to like playing in a vault-like environment for a long, long time. So mad props to Sanctimonious for putting on a great event. Super enjoyed the Swiss, highly competitive, but come on. Look.
Well, you didn't exactly land on a terrible deck either.
Sure. I mean, yeah. I have a deck available to me that is fairly decent.
Fairly decent. Yeah. I mean, there's another guy that we know, and we're looking like he's trying to find a deck because he got stuck with Sanctum, and like he is scrambling, and he can't find like anything over like 76 that's available to him to play. So he's
there's
toast.
There's like
kinda.
2 people that got really rough combinations. Like, yes, there's like competitive stuff out there, but like the odds that those any of those decks win the event
was that Scrouner
is almost 0.
No,
I got to see what
I don't know
messaged.
Scrouner, but
he messaged me on Saturday looking for a deck. He's like, "You got any of that?" Well, let me look.
Yeah, that's another thing that I pointed out. Like, I was like, mad props to Scrouner. Like, Scrouner has been like a fan of the show forever.
Yeah.
He's been in a ton of events. I've met him. Like he's really worked into a position that earned his slot in this top cut event. And then like I think he is one of the ones that landed in a spot where he's basically like he does so well in the day one, and now he's basically has like less than a 2% chance to do anything in day 2.
Yeah, he asked me what was it. Brobnar Shadows Untamed is what he's looking for, and I'm like, man, if that Untamed was Mars, do I have a deck for you? But it's not, so I can't. I don't think I have anything.
Yeah, but even that house combination, like just ignore. Even in an almost ideal world, like Brobnar Shadows Untamed has no F, like very little F, unless it's like double punk or something. Right? And like if it's punk, that means it's Worlds Collide Brobnar. Like that is just a really bad house combination, because you're going to be going up against people that like decks that have disc that is going to inherently slow you down. Decks that have logos that are just going to play like 20 more cards during the same time frame that you're playing. Like it's a real bad situation.
So just for fun, from the almost 4,000 team decks I can look at, with that house combination, the highest one available to me is a 68.
And that's our team, right? You're looking at our team right now?
Yeah, I'm looking at,
Yeah, like bad. So you like even the Team Sass, right, would be totally F if that is what we drafted and we're out. We lose. Like that's
King of the Crop is 84. As you can't get, and there's one.
That's
and
in the world.
Yeah, that's in everything Eversure registered. That may be the worst 3-house combo you could land on.
But even that, like, what's the F on that deck?
4.5.
Yeah, like, that deck is going to get trounced by many of the decks that are in this competition at a much lower SAS.
And then, like you've said, we've talked about F before. It's all recursion F too, right?
Yeah, like
if
there's
you're
no
getting F,
like,
it's not
literally, unless it's punctuated equilibrium. Out of those 3 houses, there's almost zero real F. I guess you have Hidden Stash and Death
Master
Chronicles.
Plan.
Like, that's it. Like there's like 4 cards out of all 3 houses that will help you play more cards.
Old Boomy.
That's just trash. What, Sound the Horns, maybe?
That's not F. That's just like,
It's definitely F. It's just weird.
it's like, yeah, it's trash all your good cards to get another crap ass Brobnar creature.
That's what happens. Yep. Anyway, so yeah, that's the Glorious You. Mixed emotions and feelings for me. Loved how they did day 1. I was intrigued before going into the thing for day 2. It left me with a very weird feeling. Again, I don't think I'm going to win the event. I think the winner was already decided, and it's not me. Congratulations, Dave.
Yeah, I've played in several of those drafts, and I think they're a ton of fun. Again, it's kind of like our dailies. It'll put you on decks that you may not normally play, so that makes it fun. But I don't know if I like it as the top cut of a serious event.
Yeah, like that would have made perfect sense for a daily. And there's the price pool for their events pretty good. So that's interesting. All right. Anyway,
still an awesome event and lots of coverage, so you guys can go watch all kinds of games from it.
Mm-hmm. And okay, KFPL is next on my list here, so that's me to talk. All right, so the league is underway. The official round 1. Most of our week 1 events for Adaptive are finished. Dan, how'd you do?
I got a win 2-1, even though I'm an idiot and I confuse Pompatus with Stenopius all the time. And that's a real problem when you do that.
Yeah. They're very different cards.
But it was okay. I still squeaked out a win, so I am 2-1 for my first match.
I won week 1. I'm 2-0, and guess who I'm matched up against, guys?
Oh, is it Dan? Is it Dan?
Man.
So hopefully you make some errors. That'd be great. And I go take you down this week, and next week we'll give you guys an update on who wins. One of us is guaranteed to be 2-0. That's the thing.
Who has the stronger deck post?
It's adaptive.
Or I'm sorry, pre. Oh, it's adaptive.
I don't know. I brought good.
He brought his triad, actually.
Yeah, I probably brought my triad because I'm like it's what I'm comfortable with.
Whereas I have like a total gimmick deck, a reversal deck, and then a deck that will just make people throw fits. So
I'm good at gimmick decks, so I'm not afraid of that. The reversal is always interesting because it's like, how many chains does the good deck then end up having to play with? Yeah. And it becomes a real game of chicken on bidden chains.
Because my experience with Dan in tournaments is, and I've got a lot of it, is I'm bringing a knowingly less powerful deck, and me and Dan will somehow get paired together.
Yes.
That's happened every time.
I will be like, I'll be 4-0 and you'll be 3-1 and I'll get paired down.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden Dan will drop one, so we're both sitting at 3-1. So here comes Dan, and it's like, God damn it! Every time.
I am going to be very interested to see which, because like you get to pick one. Like I know Dan's 3 decks, he knows my 3 decks, but I don't know what deck I'm playing against because that's like the foundation of the adaptive league. It's not triad, but like you do get to know your opponent's decks. But you never know what deck they have until you sit down to play them. So I am very interested to see what deck Dan picks. And more interested to wonder what deck he thinks I'm going to pick. But we don't need to talk about that because I don't actually need any whatever.
Yeah, I actually haven't even looked at your list of decks, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all good. KFPL is also starting a once a month. We're trying to do the monthly paid cash event. So November 7th will be the first one. It's going to be Mass Mutations only. It's going to start at, of course, the numbers probably be wrong when I say it, even though I designed the thing. I think it starts at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on November 7th. It's $10, and we're paying out the top 8. Almost all of it is going to go back to the prizing for the top 8. And 20% of the intake is going to go to funding the League prize pool for Season 2. And I talked to Luxury Playstyle. A random entrant into the event, they don't have to win, will actually get a 20 sets token set of Dark Amber, the new purple amber that they make. So that's pretty cool.
That's cool. How do I get Luxury Playstyle Amber on TCO?
I
have no idea. I don't code anything anywhere ever. So,
and I don't want it just as an overlay where I get to see it. I want other players to know I have that fancy shit.
I don't think that's a thing.
Well, I don't know.
That's what he needs to work on.
There's definitely a way to make it show up that way for you personally if you have the skills. I have no idea. I don't think there is a way to, unless we talk to Cryogen and TCO directly.
It's time for some TCO loot box.
Stop that!
Packages.
This game's already loot boxy enough.
But yeah,
I need more gambling.
Yeah, I need to gamble more.
I think we have. All right. So now we're going back to the series we're running. Wookie, JR, talk to us about this. What am I supposed to do? I think I missed the first round.
All right, so first round, we are picking cards out of last time we did this. I believe we did Dis and Untamed. Now we're up to Shadows and Logos. So we are picking cards from both houses, Shadows and Logos, and they are the best cards in-house. They cannot be combo pieces, so it's not like, if I have this card and I have this card. They're great. They've got to be great on their own. You'd want to see these on any deck you play against, not like, I've got Time Traveler, but no library access, something like that. They're not combo pieces.
I'm okay with that.
They're straight up, well, you get my point. I got library access, but no Nep Seed. I
got Key Abduction, no Martian Generosity.
Right. So they're not combo pieces. They are straight up just solid cards. And I think, unfortunately, for Logos, a lot of them are reprints.
Yeah, and we are looking at just MM too, just so you're aware. It's not across all.
Yeah, just MM. Sorry if I didn't say that. It is just Mass Mutation.
All right, are we going to start with Shadows or Logos, boys?
Let's start on a low note.
You want to start on Shadows? Hold on, I gotta scroll. Dan, I know when I came in, you were first talking about it already. What do you got for Shadows? What's your best cards in Shadows?
Well, I think the card I'm generally happy to always have is Bonithing. He's just good, solid end game steal. Right towards the end of the game, if it's tight and his stealing 2 on play is potentially super impactful. And as in an earlier podcast, we kind of talked about it. A lot of people are going to compare it to Red Penny and say they'd rather have Red Penny. And I'm on most of the time, without it being all jazzed up with a bunch of enhancements, I like Bonithing not cycling back into my deck and giving me more 1-card shadow turns towards the end of the game. Which is what I feel like Rad Penny often does to me, is it puts a Shadows card back in when I maybe don't want it. And it's actually anti-efficiency. So that's why I like Bonithing over Rad Penny. Towards the end of the game, it's more impactful, and it doesn't gunk up my deck sometimes.
Yeah, for all of our radio friends, Shadows card, 2-power creature, Elf Thief, play, steal 1 amber for each forged key your opponent has. So that's what we're talking about with Bonithing. I agree with you in endgame. I disagree with you early. I think early and even middle, it's okay. But it's you got to play it. There's no choice early on, but it's just nothing. It's a 2-power creature. And so there isn't much in Shadows we're seeing from MM, but yes, late game, Bonithing is something to go to.
Okay, I guess
I like your pick, JR?
slower control decks, so I think about endgame. In a straight race, yes, Red Penny would probably be a better card.
Did you have another, or do we want to kind of go around the horn? We can go to
Go
J.
around.
All right, JR, what you got for Shadows?
I'm going to go ahead, and the card that we were kind of discussing earlier is Safe House. Safe House, in my opinion, even though we were talking combo card, and it has some amazing combos, I think that the use out of this artifact is really, really well sought after. And if you're not familiar with it, Safe House, an artifact, there's a printed amber on it. Action, archive a friendly creature from play. I think there's just so much versatility in Safe House to be able to archive creatures from off houses. To be able to go ahead and cycle in-house with Shadows is extremely powerful. I know we're not talking about combo pieces, but Safe House to me still has a lot of versatility. So there isn't a lot in Shadows that I'm necessarily super pumped about. Bonithing is definitely up there. Red Penny's there. But Safe House is a card that I like to see in my decks, and I'm very happy with it.
I'm a big fan of Safe House as well. I debated between that and Bonithing because that is a very potent combo right there. But I kind of think of Safe House as, in some ways, an improved transporter platform if you're not bouncing same house creatures, right? Because bouncing transporter platform creatures in or out of house sucks, right? Because it fills up your hand, slows you down. But sticking them in the archive is always good because then they're there when you need them.
Yep.
And there's so many powerful play effects.
Both of those are great cards. Y'all didn't pick mine. If I have to pick one thing, and combo is not like factoring. If combo was a factor, it's definitely Safe House for me. I think that's one of the best combo cards we've seen in a long time for Shadows. But if it's just a single card, I'm going with Johnny Longfingers. At minimum,
he's very popular with the ladies.
Yes, at minimum, you're landing a 4-power creature that has a destroyed effect that's going to steal. Most likely, you're going to get to reap with him, and he's not, because people don't want to kill him. And if he's the only one, and almost every deck I've seen has at least 3 to 4 mutants. So you're talking about a range that goes from 3 to 4 to possibly 10 to 12. Value per individual card basis, his value is through the roof. I just love him as a card. There's never going to be any deck where I have that I'd be sad to see him. But then again, like I've looked at, well over 1,000 MM decks. I've never seen less than 3 to 4 mutants. So that would be my top card without any other considerations as far as the deck that
I agree. He's solid. I just think he can be a little slow in keeping somebody off of key if that's what you need.
That's true. It's very like if I'm looking to control that last key, that's not what I'm looking for, obviously. But I just think in terms of raw value, without Bonithing's great if you have a way in your deck to archive him, either from the discard or from play.
Who's opened Johnny Longfingers, triple Red Penny, couple of Seeker Needles deck?
That was me.
I know Austin has a double Johnny deck with Red and 1 Seeker, which is pretty gross.
Sounds pretty tasty, but that's
right.
combo.
Johnny Longfingers is
that's combo.
Yep.
That's combo.
That's
combo.
Exactly.
I'm going to go into Borrow. What do you guys think about Borrow? Take control of an enemy artifact while under your control belongs to House Shadows. I know Dan loves this card.
So
Love
good.
It. Borrow's great. Yep,
obviously, it's soft artifact control. It's not, it's not, what am I thinking of?
It's somewhere between soft and hard because, it's hard to actually put Borrow in a spot because of, it's hard artifact control against some artifacts where you would normally have to have hard because, Proclamation, autoencoder, normally you have to have hard artifact control for them, but Borrow works for those.
Yep.
But obviously it does nothing to Heart of the Forest, does nothing to Grump Buggy, does nothing to Jar.
I was going to say, Jar is the biggest one that I think it does
it's
nothing
super hybrid. I mean, autoencoder is a big deal.
Steal an autoencoder or a Dark Amber Vault in Mass Mutation is crazy.
Yeah, that can be GG for you if you borrow those 2 artifacts. Amphora Captura, whatever the hell that thing is.
Yep.
Like borrowing that, like these are game-winning borrows. Like it definitely forces your opponent, if they're not stupid, to discard certain cards, or else they could be giving you the game.
Yeah. Z, I know you had talked a bit about Johnny Longfingers kind of described 4-power creature. For borrow, we're looking at action, 1 printed amber, play, take control of an enemy artifact while under your control. It belongs to House Shadows.
The belonging to House Shadows is so huge.
Yes, it is.
That's actually a big difference from Snecklifter, where it only changes house if you don't have that house, because some of those artifacts, becoming Shadow's version of those artifacts is really impactful.
The fact that you can always use it on steel, because I know I've played a lot of people, because I used to have a deck that had 2 Snecklifers, and it was a really good deck, but my deck also had Dis, and anytime I would go to steal the lash, I couldn't lash them that turn, which there was definitely at least one game that I remember very clearly. Had I been able to lash that turn, I would have won the game. But I couldn't, because I also had Dis in deck.
Yeah. So, yeah, borrow, real good. Okay.
Real good. Yep, borrow, real good. I want to go into one more. I think this card's underrated. Z hates it. I know he does. We've talked about it even before everything came out. I think it's an underrated card. It has its place. It's definitely, I know at times it's saved my ass.
Are you about to say Tempting Offer?
Tempting Offer.
That card is trash.
No, you're trash, Z. Okay? No, this card is, it is so under the radar. Like, I can't tell you how many stupid dinosaurs or stupid Sanctum guys with 60 of my Ember I have bounced into somebody's hand and said, here's your 1 Ember. I'm taking it all back. And a lot of it's such slow. I mean, I know Mass Mutation has a big Ember swing with the capture. But sometimes it's just not enough. And it takes time for you to get that Ember back on there.
It's trash because Lights Out is in the set.
Yeah, but you can't always get Lights Out.
All right, say what the card is.
Lights Out is an uncommon. All right, for one, you get 1 Ember Pip when you play it. Return 2 enemy creatures to their owner's hand. Tempting Offer.
Great card. What's Tempting Offer do?
Tempting Offer, get an Ember Pip every time you play it. Also, enhance a card in your deck with a capture icon. Return an enemy creature to its owner's hand. If you do, your opponent gains 1.
Yeah.
So 90, 99, 95 to 99% of the time, you would prefer to have Lights Out to a Tempting Offer. But there are those 5% scenarios where Tempting Offer is a better card.
You know, I would tell you, if this were a deck building game, yes, obviously Lights Out is the much better card. And why would you not play Lights Out?
I thought we were talking about best cards.
I hate Tempting Offer even more because it's a common. That means I could get more of them.
Yeah, I have a deck with 3 of them.
It's horrible. Like, this is in a set that does not even have too much to protect. There's literally nothing of value in this set that would punish them in Shadows for going hot.
Well, but I mean, like, sometimes they don't have an Amber, and now you have something to steal too. So it rarely has value, but I do not think it is one of the best Shadows cards. So I don't know why we're talking about it right now.
No, I said it was a dark horse.
Okay, so let's go to Logos because I got stuff to do.
All right, fine. Let's go to Logos because Dan has things. Well, it's all about Dan, guys. Just remember that.
Yes.
It's all about Dan. All right, Dan, what do you got for best Logos card and set?
Well, okay, my best Logos card, because I know all the other good ones will get hit too, but I'm going to go with Ultra Graviton. It is such a momentum-swinging card with putting 5 things in your archive, and then his Reap/Fight ability. So this is one of the gigantic creatures. He's a 10 power, 3 armor, robot guy. And then his ability is, when he comes into play, you archive the top 5 cards of your deck. And then he has Fight/Reap. Discard 1 card from your archive. If you do, you can purge an enemy creature. It's the only enemy, right? It's not 100% sure.
I'll find out for you.
I'm not looking at it, but he's a 10-3, so he can often, he just makes a pretty good fight bot on his own.
If you do purge a creature and resolve each of its bonus icons as if you had played it.
So, there's that part too. I just think alone, that ability, that on-bound targeted purge removal is really powerful, and the tempo from archiving 5 cards is is really good too, whether you pull them or not. Happens to be the Logos deck I get to play him in. He's more of a tempo card because there isn't enough other stuff in Logos to keep calling Logos again and again. But he's so much crazy board control and tempo all in one card. I really like him. I think he's the best gigantic creature.
All right, JR, what you got for best Logos card in set?
My question for Dan before we get off Ultra Gravitron is, what about the idea of it being a combo card and needing two? Do you think that it's honestly that component of two cards, the setup that, oftentimes you can't necessarily pull them together? Does his ability outweigh what you're kind of fighting against or dealing with?
Absolutely. Okay. If you first turn him, oh my God, it's awesome. It's great.
Sure. But you need a lot of things to come together if you're first turning them, too.
It's not that hard. Logos, we're not talking combo stuff, but Logos has enough random archive and stuff that once you stick half of them in the archive, you just go. And then sooner or later, you're going to play him. I think he's worth it. It's another one of the reasons I think he's better than the other ones is because Logos has the tools to make him happen, where the other houses are not that good at it.
And I do agree about the tools and Logos does allow Ultra Gravitron to be able to come out. So, yeah, I agree with that. For me, I have two cards. I'm actually going to go ahead and choose, I think, the later, just because I think someone else is going to pull it first. So if not, we'll come back and talk about it. But I'm actually going to go ahead and throw out my Cyberclone. I think Cyberclone is a phenomenal piece. I've actually seen Cyberclone being used in order to purge some of those gigantic creatures that you spent a lot of time being able to go ahead and set up and be able to pull, and it's just one simple, easygoing card. So if you're not familiar with it, Cyberclone is a Logos creature, mutant, 1 power. Play, purge another creature until Cyberclone leaves play. It has power equal to the purge creature's power and gains that creature's armor, keywords, and traits. And while it's a rare, it just has so much flexibility to remove what is causing issues and then for it to go ahead and join your side. So there's a lot of flexibility in this card.
My Ultra Gravitron has been cybercloned more than once.
Yeah. Cyberclone was actually the card I was going with.
I would say, actually, just on that thought, Flavor of Rex has gotten so much better with gigantic creatures.
Yeah.
Outside of stupid Kong, but triggering the dinosaur or the Gravitron with Favor Rex. It hurts.
Mine hasn't been taken yet. I initially, when we first went through everything, we went back and forth on this card, and we decided it was a great combo card. But after playing a lot of I think it is the best Logos card in the set. I'm going with Auto Encoder as the artifact. It is an item. After a card is discarded from your hand, archive a top card of your deck. I'm going with this as the best card because there's tons of times in the game. It is better to discard a card to increase your efficiency. It helps you cycle back to stuff you need in critical situations. Helps you make for bigger turns when you're getting rid of stuff that you don't need at the time. Often, most top decks have board wipes in them anyway, but you don't need them all the time, so you're getting an archive there. Somebody punks you, you just slap them in the face next turn because you just archived 6 cards. Every time your Mind Barb, Toxin, the stupid one, all that. Auto Encoder does a lot of work. And that's assuming everything I just mentioned has nothing to do with anything else that could actually combo with it. So yes, it is also a great combo card, but I'm talking about pretty much in any deck I see it. After playing a lot of decks that actually have it, and it's just there, and it doesn't have the things that synergize with it, I've still found it to be incredibly valuable. Honestly, the only time I am sad to have Auto Encoder in my deck is if I'm playing against someone that has Borrow. That makes me real sad because you have to discard it. Because if they know how to use it, you're going to lose. I do classify it as a higher skill card, though. Because it takes a lot. It makes more micro decisions every turn compared to a normal game. Because you have to have very good understanding of how your deck works, how your opponent's decks works, to know when like a 3-power creature on the board is going to be worth more than that archive. But either way, I still put it as definitely my single highest rated Logos card in set.
I agree. It's probably the best Logos card in set. I have seen, though, it feels a little bit like Quixel Stone or Heart of the Forest, the way some people use it, where like it does so much work in their deck, they need it, and when it comes out real late, it's real bad for them. Like
I'm not a bit like there are decks that are only good when it's out, so I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about like if I wanted any one card, this is the card I want from this set. That's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I knew this card would be shared, so that's why I went with something different. It was definitely on my list. This was the other one that I had. I'm going to leave it.
Threshold is way up there. It's probably can't really think of another one. It's probably the most skill challenging Logos card that's been printed.
Well, it requires your thought process for the game to change. And you have to keep that in mind, is that what is the impact of the card that you have? Is it better to simply discard it to get another future card that's in the deck, or is it better to play it? And that does require that micro decision.
Finally, something to do with your infomorphs.
Oh, yeah.
Turn them into archives.
Yes. Lots of decisions. Yeah.
Okay, Wookie, tell us about why you think Munchling is the best card in the set.
Munchling is the best. No. Actually, JR took mine, and then I was like, it's okay. And then I thought about who was going up next, and then I'm like, oh man, autoencoder is done next because Z hasn't talked yet, so that's definitely gone. And I've been, that Logo's got a ton of great reprints. Sloppy Lab Works in set. Neurosiphons in set. I mean, so many of these reprints are great. Bouncing Death Court
if you're playing against not MM.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously.
Torgado's pretty hot.
Yeah. I'm actually, and listen, it's Casual Loop. We've all decided that we're just going to switch those two, and it's Casual Loop. That was decided already. There's a card that always stands out to me, and he may not be the best, but he's definitely my damn kryptonite. Is a damn Adaptoid. Don't laugh at Adaptoid.
Why is that, Wookie?
I don't know, man. He's my
go ahead and share this amazing card, Wookie.
Well, Adaptoid, all right. So this is a card that just frustrates me, and it's always against guess who?
Oh.
You dump. Never mind. I'm out. Later, guys. That's the end of the show, guys. Because Z always finds a way to make Adaptoid 37 power, and he'll be stealing 14 from me when he fights.
Man, that means he's got to land it, and it's got to be there to use. I hate Adaptoid. It's one of those cards that I'm happier to not see.
So Adaptoid,
Adaptoid. Yeah, go ahead.
4-power creature, mutant. It has 3 enhanced items. 1, a capture, 2, a damage pip, and 3, a draw that it's giving to other cards. After you play a card with a bonus icon for the remainder of the turn, Adaptoid gains, choose 1, +2 armor, assault 2, or fight steal 1.
So normally by the end of the turn, Z has stolen, 6 or 7 Ember from me, and he's got 14 armor. Somehow. I'm not sure how that happens, but you stole Cyberclone from me. I love Cyberclone. Cyberclone's fantastic. He is basically he's a creature kill spell, right? I mean, I'm going to purge a card from you. I don't know. What else is good in Logos? I didn't want to go.
Not playing against MM, Krizap is one of the most.
Krizap is really good if it's not against MM. I mean, but like, I didn't want to choose a reprint because there's a ton of Skippy Time Logs in the set.
Kronos?
Zenzi
Kronos is good.
Zenzik is in set. They have so many good reprints.
Logos is super good in the set. I still think, like, after we went back and looked at it, like, this is probably better than Logos, but Logos is, as always,
even Forge Compiler is real good. Like, I've had
that card is a lot better than I thought it was.
Yeah, I mean, you forged a key against Forge Compiler, and my whole battle line gets warded.
Mind over matter can often be super powerful.
Yeah,
I almost sometimes it feels better than destroying their creatures because it puts them all. If they got a good mixed board, then it hurts for them to pull their archives. Like, this they're just so slow after that because their hand
especially
is just
if they're
a
Coda or
disaster.
AOA, because most of them aren't having a play effect.
I've had real good luck with that. I know I was excited for the Archivist early on, and he hasn't turned out
He
to
hasn't
be
really panned
even
out.
worth thinking about.
No, I haven't. I've popped nothing good with him in it.
Me neither.
I mean, has anything with Animator really come about? Have we seen any Animator
I had a
redacted
fun
decks?
game with Animator. I would animate him, and I had Amphora Captura. So I would animate an artifact, capture everything onto the artifact in my turn. My opponent had no artifact control.
Yeah.
So I was just crushing tons of amber every turn. It was really every time I called Logos.
Well, I was going to say, have we figured out the Animator redacted thing? Have they set up that? I'm guessing it's legal. I don't see why it wouldn't be.
It's legal, and it's not very good because you have to animate it. Then you have to have a way to capture amber in the same turn, which
Logos ain't so hot at
or something. I mean, like, it can be done, but I've not encountered it being that great. But it does work really well with the Dino monuments is often pretty good. It's just being able to use your off-house artifacts for their action is where I've seen it just being the best.
Well, there are 3 cards that it would combo with, by the way. Like, because you can do this with Safe Place, you can do with Monument to Strix, and you can do this with Redacted. So it's not just one thing.
No, it's many, but I know everybody was like having a panic attack when they're like, "Oh, you can make Redacted a creature and now put all your Ember on it." It's like, but you have to have the Ember to steal.
Yeah. And in case we didn't go through Animator, but artifact, item, action, move an artifact to a flank of its controller's battle line for the remainder of the turn. It is a creature with 3 power that belongs to the active house.
It does make good artifact destruction too, because you can animate your opponent's artifacts and then punch them in the face.
Right. I mean, I also considered Professor Tarato. But I don't know if he. I mean, it was almost like mutant creatures. That's when like Johnny Longfingers. And I was like, is he a combo piece though? Because you got to have mutants, and if you don't have mutants, you're kind of SOL.
I would call Tarato more of a combo piece than Johnny because he's actually only good if you could land him from hand and get the benefit, which means you'd also have to have mutants in Logos on the board.
Correct.
Because he gets, like, even though he's a 4 power, he's going to draw just as much threat as Sutterkin. We all know that Sutterkin sucks. So in general, he's going to get treated that way and killed pretty quickly.
You think he draws more hate than Sutter? Because it's both ways. I mean, if I got a deck full of mutants, now
you're only playing against, like, there's only, all things equal, right? There's only a 25% chance you're playing against an MM deck. We know they're not all considered equal, though. Mm-hmm. And if you're playing in a actual, like, high-level event, there's a really good chance you're not playing against an MM deck. So, like, Tarato, in my opinion's value is pretty high, but I think it's still only that high if you have, say, 5+ mutants in Logos, which makes it a combo piece.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't choose him, because I'm like, I think he's a combo piece. I can't choose Tarato.
I mean, for me, I choose Kronos specifically because Kronos is only good if you can get the pips in Logos, which isn't even what we would call a combo. It's like, is your deck lucky or not? Like, it's outside. It's something else.
Yeah, no, I'm in
great if you can get Logos draw.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Kronos. For someone who has a double Tarato deck, it really gets hurt against MM. So if you're facing MM and your deck is dependent on that, it just does not help. Against other sets, when I was playing Coda, man, that ability to draw, especially from multiple different houses, Professor Tarato, I literally had 6 cards left in my deck and everything else is in my hand or out. And that is brutal, especially when you got 2 of them, because you have the ability to go ahead and push them out and say, deal with it. Get both of them off.
The crazy thing is there's just tons of combo potential. Like, if you have a double Tarato deck with, like, a double Subject Kirby deck, like, the potential is through the roof because you can land them in your Star Alliance turn, then reap with your Star Alliance tunes, then set up the board to protect them. Like, I could definitely see lines of decks out there that have, like, double Tarato autoencoder that create these A-level decks that crush non-MM decks. And those can be really great decks because, like we saw from the Glorious U event. A lot of the decks that made top aren't MM. So if you find like a really good MM deck that is potentially weak against other MM decks, it might not even matter, right? Because your field, like you're still going to win enough games because your opponents aren't.
I still feel Logos got the best reprint set out of anybody. I mean, they got standardized testing is in set. Bouncing Death Quark is in set. Effervescent Principle is in for them. They got a ton of good reprints. So for me to choose a new card was like, I don't even know which one to choose. Obviously Cyberclone and Autoencoder were both on my list. Got taken early.
They even got Daughter.
Daughter is obviously still here. I mean, there was the
Discombobulator came back,
right? Skippy Timehog is back in sets. I mean, Zenzi is back. I don't know, man. They really got a good suite of reprint cards.
Reverse Time came back, so you could combo with Grim Reminder. Like they did. They even Howling Pit weirdly came back, which it had been out since Coda.
Right.
I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it hadn't been reviewed. Yeah. So I don't know, man. I like Logos. I really don't know if they're still the strongest. I think it might be Dis Logos. This is just.
Yeah, I know originally I landed on Logos. Like honestly, after looking at this again, like I don't know of a theory crafted MM deck that I would want that does not have Logos. But I could definitely craft a deck that does not have Dis. So while I think Dis has like
really, I'm the opposite. I think Dis is like almost. If I were to make a deck, it's going to have Dis, but maybe not Logos.
I can definitely create a theory crafted Logo Star Alliance Untamed deck that would be just bunk.
So what's really interesting and what I'm looking at is while Logos has some phenomenal cards by themselves, I've found a number of decks in MM with Logos that honestly the Logos suite does not really align with each other. And so I found that overall the common set for Dis seems to help improve a lot more of the decks than the common set I'm seeing from Logos. Now that's interesting. Maybe that just requires more plays, but that's kind of my first impressions that I'm getting.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but I think we're going to wrap it up. Dan's already out. He had stuff to do. I don't know what Dan's doing, but Dan had stuff and things, Coral, so he's out. Anything else before we get into kind of, we're going to wrap it up here. We've gone almost our hour, but...
Not on my end. All I gotta say is I've really been enjoying what the community's been producing, from our chain bounds to the Sanctimonious to the ABR to the KFPL now. Like that's it. I know like the world sucks right now still, and it doesn't look like that's changing anytime soon. But I've kind of really enjoyed the new like spark that's going on in the community at all these places. So if Keyforge is still shut down in your local, get on those community discords and start playing in these events. I've had a lot of fun. Like I'm not joking. Like the Sanctimonious event last weekend was the closest experience I've felt as far as like having gone to all those vaults like that in a long time. That was real cool. Yeah.
JR, you got anything before we head out?
No, I know that we're hit pretty hard right now with COVID, so stay safe. If you can get out, be safe, be smart. But that's about all that I have here. So keep enjoying Keyforge wherever it is, in person or at home.
Yeah. And come back next week. We'll be talking Sanctum in Saurian next week. And also, me and Z are going to build our own decks. Right, Z?
We're going to... sure.
Yeah,
bro.
Not next week, but we're going to talk about it. I've been working on this because obviously you guys know I've been in hotels a lot recently. So I have a lot of free time on my hands. Not doing a ton and kind of working out some rulings for the only way to describe it is Keyforge constructed. So I know that's going to piss some people off, and that's fine. Don't play it. Nobody's forcing you to play it. It's just another idea for people with, You know, like me and Z and Sheep and even JR to an extent to use the cards that are just sitting there collecting dust and actually make something of them.
12 Restringuntus, 12 Phase Shift.
Yep, the rules already are the rules have already thought about that. Like I said, I've had a lot. Remember, I've been in training now for 8 weeks. I've had a lot of time. I went back, watched some old videos, realizing, yeah. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Thank you all for joining us for another week. We'll see y'all next week.
And what you love.